Welcome back, folks. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to convert your Humminbird Helix 7 from open water to ice fishing. It's really easy to do. All you really need to do is just go out and buy an ice transducer and swap your unit from open water mode to ice mode. It's really easy. I'll show you guys how to do that. And there's a couple different options you can do as far as shuttles for these. I built my own, as you can see. I already had my unit. I built a shuttle out of a milk crate, and I went out and bought a lithium battery. This is an Amped Outdoors 12 volt 18 amp hour battery. You can also go right to Humminbird and buy kind of a pre-made kit. It comes with a shuttle, a bag, a battery, and it comes with a transducer. So that's the basics with that. And now we're gonna get right into it, guys. I'm gonna show you guys how to get into the unit and transfer it from open water mode to ice mode. All right, so let's get started. When you first turn your unit on, it's gonna open in open water mode, and you need to change it to ice fishing. And how you do that is you go to menu, you hit menu, so you hit menu twice, you scroll over to sonar, and you scroll just about all the way down to the bottom till you see ice fishing. We're going to hit the right arrow. It's going to tell you that fishing mode has been changed. The unit will restart. You want to hit yes, which is the right arrow, and it's going to power down. It's going to restart, and when it restarts, it's going to be in ice fishing mode. It just takes 10 seconds or so. And we're going to hit menu. We're going to go up to normal. We're going to hit the right arrow and hit exit, and we are in ice fishing mode. As you can see, we have the flasher on the left, and we have the 2D sonar coming in on the right here. We actually have a bunch of fish on screen. So for now, just look at this line right here. This is my jig. You see my jig moving up and down. And you can also see the jig return over here moving up and down. And you can see I'm in 54 feet of water. My gain is set at 10. I have my depth set at 0 to 64. I will go over that a little bit later on how you can preset your depth. Down here, this is your cone angle. I have a 21 degree cone, so I'm reading 20 feet of bottom. This is your chirp IR icon. I will go over that a little bit later. If you want to increase or decrease your gain, you can hit the plus and the minus up here. So if you want to increase your jig return, you just hit the plus button, and you can see it increasing there. And you can see how much better of a return my jig is getting, which is right here. I like to run mine right around 12, 13. If I fish deeper water, like 80, 90, 100, sometimes I'll jack it up to 16, 17. So that's the basics of this dial. And let's just take a quick look at the 2D sonar. This little line here is my jig. You can see that going up and down. This is a vertical representation of the water column. This is right under the ice. This is the bottom. This is my jig down 44 feet. And you can see this records a little bit of data. This is the freshest data. This is the oldest data over here. So let's get right into some of the settings. I'll show you guys what I use for settings. The first thing I do when I turn this unit on is I go menu twice. So we're going to go menu 1, menu 2. I'm going to go over to setup, and I want my unit in advanced mode. Mine's already in advanced. When you scroll into it, you'll probably see yours come up as normal. I always change mine to advanced. Advanced mode just gives you a couple extra options to change around. And I actually have a couple fish on me, which I don't really want to mess around with at the moment. All right, now let's take a look at the power button. If you hit the power button once, it brings a drop down. You can adjust your light up or down. You can dim it way down. On an average day, I like to run mine around 5 or 6. I have mine up a little higher just so you guys can see it a little better on screen. Night mode. I like to have night mode on a regular day because it conserves battery. For the sake of the video, I'm going to have it on off. I think it's going to show a little better on camera. But I normally run my unit with night mode on just to conserve battery. Standby, I don't use standby. So we're going to hit exit. We're going to get out of there. The next thing we're going to look at is views. If you hit the view button, you can cycle through all your different views. The next view is flasher with a 2x zoom. If you want to increase the bottom zoom, you just hit the plus button, and you can go all the way up to an 8x zoom. If you want to back it down, you just hit the minus. And the next view is the full flasher. Next view is just the full 2D with your RTS window. I'll show you that in just a minute. Another 2D with big digits. I'm going to show you guys how you can hide some of these so you don't have to cycle through all these. This is your map. This is your flasher map. 2D map. And we're back to the home screen. And there's actually a couple that was already hidden in here. So if you want to hide a couple of these, ones that you know you're never going to use, I'll show you how to do it. So you go to menu twice, menu 1, menu 2. You go over to views, and this is where you can pick and choose what you have visible. So I like to have my flasher sonar. I like to have the flasher zoom. I like the flasher. I like just the sonar. I'm not going to do the sonar zoom. I don't need the big digits. I'm going to keep the chart available because I'm going to show you guys how to mark a waypoint in just a minute. I don't do the chart flasher. That one I don't need. And these other ones are already hidden. These ones I never have on. So this just allows you to pick and choose which ones you want. I find it's much more convenient than having to cycle through all of them. And now let's take a look at menu once. If you hit menu once, it brings up this drop down. You can change your active pane. So say you want to look at your flasher as you're adjusting settings, you can change it to flasher. If you want to adjust your active pane on the right, which is my 2D, you can change the active pane over there. Your gain, you can also change from here. If you want to jack your gain up or down, you can do it from that drop down. Alright, now let's take a look at the chirp IR. This is Hummingbird's interference setting. I usually run mine on off. If I'm fishing next to a buddy that has a unit, I will cycle through their 6 different settings. And all you do is just cycle through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different settings. I find I normally don't get into my chirp IR that often, but if you need to, that's where you find it. And cone angle, you can manually change your cone angle. Take a look down here. Right now it's 15 to 21, so this will cycle between the two. If I change it to a 21-degree cone angle, I'm going to be reading 20 feet of bottom. If I change it to 15, I'm going to be reading 15 feet of bottom. So I'm going to be getting a stronger signal going right under me, but I may be missing some fish off to the periphery. But I just run mine and 15 to 21. And lower range, I change all the time. I don't like to leave mine in auto, because what can happen is if you leave your lower range to auto, what can happen is your bottom can bounce around a little bit. So I like to manually set mine. As you can see, I have mine set from 0 to 64. You need to have it a couple feet above what you're actually fishing. So I'm in 54 feet of water. If I set that to, say, 50 feet, it's not going to read. Right, so I'm at 50 feet, and it's picking my jig up, but it's not picking up bottom. So you can see I'm in 54 feet, but I set it to 50. So you want to set that, a couple feet above what you're actually fishing so you can pick up bottom. All right, now we're going to look at the flasher style. You can leave it on full, like it is right now. My jig is showing up the entire width of the bar here, or you can change it to a scope, which just brings it into a little blip like we have here. It doesn't span the entire width of the flasher. And I really like a scope when I'm fishing for perch and crappie, because when you have your jig return looking like this, if any fish comes in from the side, it's going to cover the entire width of the column here, and you're going to pick it up a little better than if it was on full. And you can also do the same thing for your RTS window. So I'm going to go back up. I'm going to change my active pane to the right, and you can change the same thing over here into a scope. So you can see it cut my jig into just a little blip. All right, going down into RTS mode, this is looking at this column here. You can do narrow, you can change it to medium, or you can change it to wide. I always run mine in medium, but you can adjust that however you like. And going down your sonar colors, there's a bunch of different settings. I happen to like the black on black. There's a bunch of different settings here. You can go through and find which one you like, but I happen to like the preset, which is number 6. And we forgot to talk about chart speed. I always run my chart speed in ultra. This is my jig here. This is my jig return. You can see it's going through pretty fast. I'm gonna jack my gain up a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. This is all fresh data. If I took my chart speed and brought it all the way down, You can see how much slower that return is. And I honestly can't think of one reason why you would want to run your chart speed that slow. I like to run it on ultra. That way I have the freshest data possible with my jig and any fish that is interacting with my jig. All right, that's everything in menu hit once. So just real quick, we're gonna go into menu hit twice. We're gonna go menu, menu. And I don't use much in here. The only thing I use is, we already talked about hiding views, setting it to advanced mode. You can change any other settings here. I'm not going to get into any chart stuff today. Back into the sonar. The only other thing I change is I change fish ID to off. I don't like the little goldfishy looking things picking up, like right there, you know, picking up a bunch of fish. I don't like them. Sometimes your jig will pick up as them fish. Right now I have a pretty small jig on, so it's not picking up. But I don't like them little goldfish things going through. So last thing I'm going to show you guys real quick is how to mark a waypoint. So if we go to our map screen and we're going to scroll in, and this is a lake I'm fishing. A lot of you folks in Maine are probably going to recognize this. This is a treacherously slow lake, so if you want to come here and fish a treacherously slow lake, there you go, come fish this one. But if you find a lake where you're catching a lot of fish, you're fishing over some weeds or you're fishing a drop off, whatever reason, if you want to mark a waypoint, all you do is hit mark and it's going to create that waypoint. And if you want to zoom in or out, you just hit the zoom buttons. Pretty simple. And that is the basics of the unit, guys. It's that easy to set up. It's nothing fancy. If you guys have any further questions, feel free to ask. I'll try my best to answer them. We're going to sign off there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.